Okay, guys, so the first problem, we have negative 3x plus 3y equals 4. And our second equation is y equals 3x plus 3 plus x. And so when I'm solving two equations at the same time, the first thing I look for is, are they both in y equals mx plus b form? If they're both in y equals mx plus b form, I just go y equals y, and I solve that way. But if one is in y equals mx plus b form, like this one is, and one isn't, then what I'm going to do substitution. And you can see I've highlighted that substitution here already. And so if you want to, you proceed with the substitution after you notice that. And so the y goes into there. So it's going to be 3 times 3 plus x equals 4. So I substituted this into there, right? Let me zoom out a little bit, give more room. And so now I do negative 3x plus 3 times 3 is 9. Distributive property, 3 times 3 is 3x equals 4. And then 3x plus 3x is 0. So I get 9 equals 4. And so now when I've solved my system of linear equations, and now I think about what does that mean? When I get 9 equals 4, what does that mean about my solution? What do you guys think? I'm typing that in as you guys think. What do you guys think in the chat? What does that mean? So 9 equals 4. So is that a true statement or a false statement? Yeah, it's no solution. Good job, Angelic. So it is no solution because it's a false statement. And so you have 9 equals 4. That's a false statement. So that would be no solution, right? And there's going to be a question on the test where you're going to ask, hint, hint, on the test, hint, hint, where you're going to see a problem solved. And you have to think about, what does that mean? Okay. So that's a no solution problem, right? When you get a false statement, that's a no solution problem. So I'm going to go down one. And so now for the next one, I'm going to get y equals 3x minus 1 and y equals 3x minus 1. So now I'm looking at this, and they're both y equals mx plus b, right? So when they're both in y equals mx plus b, you want to set them equal to each other, right? So you're going to have 3x minus 1 equals 3x minus 1. And so now you're going to try to solve for x. And so you want to move one of these over. So you have a positive 3x. You're going to do a subtraction 3x. So you get negative 1 equals 1. And now you got to think about, what does that mean? So what kind of statement is that? You think? So what kind of statement is that? Negative 1 equals 1. Is it a true or is it a false statement? What do you think? Let's see. Joey, what do you think, Joey? Is negative 1 equals 1 a true or false statement? Yeah, it's a true statement. And so you think about, if you go up to the notes, just to review, true statements look like this. That means there are infinitely many solutions. So that'll be infinitely many solutions. So you want to highlight that, right? Okay. Right. No solution, false statement, infinitely many, true solution. Okay. So now I'm going to go up here, and now I'm going to do my substitution. Y equals 5x minus 5, and negative 3x minus 2y equals negative 12. So from there, like I said, when one's in y equals mx plus b form and one is not, then you substitute the one that is into the one that's not. So you're going to do 3x minus 2, substitute 5x minus 7 equals negative 12. And you're going to substitute right there, right? Okay. And now you're going to do 3x minus, so when you distribute, don't forget to distribute the negative. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10x. Negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14 equals negative 12. And then it's going to be negative 3x minus 10x is negative 13x plus 14 equals negative 12. Okay. So that's the distributive property. So I substituted. I substituted here. I did distributive property, and now I have, and then I combine like terms there, right? I combine this one and this one together. So now I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract this 14. Since it was a positive 14, I'm going to subtract 14. So negative 13x equals, so they're both negative. When they're both negative, you add them. So it's 6, 2 plus 4 is 6, 1 plus 1 is 2. So you get negative 26. Okay. And so now I'm going to divide by negative 13 at the end, so I can solve for my x. And so I divide by negative. A negative divided by negative is a positive. And so that's going to be 26 divided by 13 would be 2. So the answer is 2. So when you get that at the end, that's just a one solution problem, right? That's just a one solution problem. So negative 3x minus 10x plus 14, I'm going to type it in, equals negative 12. And then negative 13x plus 14 equals negative 12. Negative 13x is equal to negative 26. Divide by negative 13 on both sides, x equals 2, right? So that's a one solution problem. Because you're able to solve for x, you get one solution, okay? So now, any questions on these three types so far, right? For the people that stick around for the no questions, okay? So now, the last problem, these are just 3 good examples of the 3 different types. Okay, these are just 3 good problems for 3 different types of problems we have. We have no solution, one solution, and infinitely many solutions. And so what's going to happen next is, this is kind of like a bonus problem right here, in which it's more difficult, but still not bad. Okay, it's still the exact same thing, except for this one, you're going to end up with a fraction. And that's what makes it more difficult for people, is that those fractions, people hate fractions. But fractions are just numbers that don't have are just not whole numbers, right? They're just not whole yet. So you have one that's in y equals mx plus b, one that's in not that form. So you take the one that is and plug it into the one that's not. So let's do that. So I do the distributive property. Negative 8 times 5 is negative 40x. Negative 8 times plus 3 is negative 24. And then you're going to have equal to 24. Okay. Combine like terms now. These are both the same. They both have x's, so you subtract them. Since this is a positive and negative number, subtract them. So negative 37x minus 24 is equal to 24. Okay, you're almost done. You want to get the x by itself. So you're going to, let me zoom out a little bit. There you go. So now we're going to add 24 to both sides. Cancel that out. negative 37x equals 48. And the last step is just to divide by negative 37. And now we're going to get a negative 37. So we get a fraction of 48 over negative 37. And that's going to be a one solution problem. It is a fraction. So a lot of people don't like fractions, but just leave it like that, right? Just leave it like that. And there's nothing wrong with that if you just leave it like that. Okay. So let's review the problem. So as we type it in, so first thing we did was substituted. And then we did the, good morning, hello Charlie. We're just going over some review questions. So we're going to do, and then we give a distributive property. And then we subtracted, we combine like terms. Oop, made a mistake there. Should be negative plus 3. So it should be 20 minus 24. And then we combine like terms. And then I added 24 to both sides. I get negative 37x minus is equal to 48. I divide by the negative 37 on both sides. Again, I get 48 divided by negative 37. Okay. And then we're done there. Okay. And it's not that bad of a problem, just takes a little more time. Because if you look back on your test, there's going to be quite a few questions about solving those, right? Like this question right here is a solving multi-step equation. Where did he make the mistake? I'm not going to tell you the answer. I'm just going to put a random answer. Okay. So don't think that's the answer. Now, you can see here, you have to interpret an answer. Zuri solved the problem here. She gets at the end, she gets negative 3 equals 0. What does that mean? I'm just going to click on something random. For this one, remember that these are two linear equations. And so there's someone's asking how many hours would the amount Adam and Michelle pay for rentals be equal. So that's just where they cross, right? So you're just going to put in where they cross, because a solution is two intersecting lines, right? And then let's just put a random number. And then from here, you're going to select the statement that correctly describes solutions to the system of equations. So you're going to solve this one, and you're going to click which one's the right answer. Like I said, I'm putting something random. This one, you're just solving for x, and then you're going to put the x value there. So just make sure that when you put the x value, it only takes numbers. So I just want the x number in there, okay? And then this one, you're gonna decide if it's one solution, no solution, or infinitely many. You can't mark more than one on this one, right? Just one per was this a row? One per row, right? One per row. And so make sure those are not the answers. Don't think those are. So from this one, just solve for x, right? Just solve for x here. Don't forget to do the distributive property, combine like terms, add something over, subtract something over, divide by whatever you have left over, right? And then for these ones that we're going to review right now, okay, we're going to do these tables right now. Okay? And so if you look at the second page, here, that's on the second page, right here. So you can see that these are the input-output tables, right? We can sometimes represent functions with equations. For example, a linear equation in the form y equals 3x plus 4 is a linear equation because for every input, there's one output. We can also draw a diagram to represent this function. So in goes the x into the function, then you multiply by 3 and subtract 4, and out goes the y, right? So we can think of x as the input and y as the output. For example, 3x minus 4 equals y. And you can see I worked out all the different, if x is 2, then y is 2. If x is 0, then y is negative 4, based on this rule of multiply by 3 and subtract 4. Okay. And so I have some problems for you guys to do. I have some examples right here for you guys to do. You can see for this one, while this is being recorded, so you can pause it. You can always pause the recording. So So now for this one, you have y equals x minus 5, right? So this rule is you take your number, you take your input, and you subtract 5. So like you take 2, subtract 5, that's negative 3, right? You take negative 4, subtract 5, that's negative 9. Take your 0, subtract 5, and that's negative 5, right? So you don't have to show all the work like here. If you can do that in your head, that's fine. Just showing the work, if you make a mistake, it's easier to tell where you make the mistake if you show your work. But usually we just put the output here. We don't show our work here. I'm just showing you where I get these numbers from. So if you plug in 5, you get 0. You plug in negative 3, you get negative 8. You plug in 2, you get negative 3. Plug in negative 4, you get negative 9. Plug in 0, you get negative 5, right? Okay. Any questions about this table? How I got the answer for that table? No? Okay. And then so for this one, just make sure that you're taking your x, you're multiplying it by 1/2. In this case, my x is 10, so I'm doing 1/2 times 10, then you're going to add 2. So half of 10 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Okay. And then you're going to do negative 1/2 of negative 10. I'm going to do half of negative 10. And you're going to add 2. So half of negative 10 would be negative 5 this time, plus 2 would be negative 3. And then for the last one, you're taking half of 2, and you're going to add 2. So half of 2 would be 1. You add 2, and you get positive 3. Okay, so we're almost done. So here, for this one down here, the pattern, you take your output, which is input, which is x, you multiply it by negative 4, and then subtract 1, that gives you your output. So we're going to do negative 4 times negative 5 minus 1. So when you have a negative times a negative, it's a positive. So that'll be 20 minus 1 would be 19. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our input, multiply it by negative 4, and we're going to subtract 1. So negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Minus 1 would be 7. Okay. So for the last one for this one is negative 4 times 1 minus 1 is equal to, so negative 4 times 1, negative 4, minus 1 would be negative 5. Any question on this table? Nope. Okay. So anybody else? Okay. I imagine you guys are just sitting there. You have no questions. Okay. So for this one, the last one, 2 times negative 6 is 2. So 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Minus 2 would be negative 14. Negative 3 times 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Minus 2 would be negative 8. Right? And for the last one, 2 times 6 is 12. Minus 2 is 10. Okay. Yeah. So